All right, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Retro Fandango, episode 155. I'm a co-host, buried on Mars, also known as Kevin, and I'm here with my buddy Richard, my pal, who I talk to every week,
I am also a co-host.
and he is a co-host, Rambox, the.
That's me.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about the Xbox. We're going to be talking about Voxcade, Part 2.
Voxcade.
Voxcade. That sounds like a tasty drink, like
I thought
Powerade.
it sounded more like Live Aid. Am I
Okay.
going to go, do some COVID relief?
Then we're going to be talking about Rambo, Last Blood, Venom, Seed of Chucky. One episode of Enterprise. We're restricting ourselves to one episode. And then if we have time, might talk about The Thing, Westworld, and The Fury.
I'm really nervous about that one episode of Enterprise now. You actually went out and watched it, huh?
Yeah, I did. We can talk
Oh.
about it now if you want. Let's get this stuff out of the way before, because then we'll forget. And Quick Save Club is playing Fallout New Vegas. I've been playing that. It's good times. CC Prime's playing The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I downloaded it. That's as far as I got. RF Gen is playing Elite Beat Agents in Rhythm Heaven. And for Fandango this month, I can't remember what we said we were doing.
It's in here. We're doing the Netflix movies.
Yeah.
We are going with The Old Guard, Extraction, and In the Tall Grass.
Okay, so those are the movies. Okay. Curtis left a comment on our last episode saying that we are going to have a tough month of Fandango. This is going to be a tough month.
Hmm.
So I don't know if he's
Well, I
watched
gotta tell
these
you, I'm a
movies.
little I know it was my idea, but I'm also a little nervous about this because I often go to Netflix and see all these Netflix original things pop up, and I think, oh, maybe I should watch that, or I could watch a real movie. So I don't know what to expect from these.
I don't know either. It'll be an interesting experiment. Maybe
Well-
it'll be stuff that, for me, the everyone who recommended movies last month, that was good times, especially 8th grade. So when you have an open mind like I do,
Oh, I all my viewing this past week was done with an open mind.
you would have to have that for some of the stuff you watched. Next month we're doing 80s school comedies. There were over on Discord, anyways. People were still a lot of the recommendations were still kind of coming of age things like The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller.
Well, they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because usually you set something in a high school, it's somebody's having a tough time.
Yeah. I've just seen those movies so many times. I guess it frees up next month. I don't actually have to watch them. I can just talk about them.
We can dig into a different area. Some real recommendations.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, then in October, Curtis is doing his thing. With now, Curtis said,
make a decision on that.
Yeah, Curtis just said, make a decision already. He's just like, just decide.
Westerns. That's how you fix it. Troll westerns. There's got to be something with that. There was some cartoon movie about trolls that came out, right? Like the trolls with the big hair. They still do things with that.
Yeah.
He's gonna make us watch that, isn't he?
I don't know. Let's do trolls. Horror trolls. That's it. Boom. It's decided. Or unless we should do anthologies.
I do not have the energy to fight one way or the other. Trolls it is.
All right. Trolls.
It's Halloween, and it sounds nice. I guarantee you we've never done Trolls movies before.
No, never even. I don't think I have seen a troll movie.
I should probably save this for the Fandango discussion, but I know that when I was a kid, I watched a movie. I believe it was the movie just called Troll. And there's something about trolls in an apartment or just like a regular house. And when I saw it as a kid, I guess I saw it way too young. That freaked me out. I was so scared of trolls for a while. I just kept thinking, there's going to be a troll behind the sofa.
I posted it earlier this week, but I swear the thing that scared me the most as a kid, Friday the 13th was pretty scary. Once I got over that, when I was a little bit older, it was that episode of Unsolved Mysteries where people were telling the stories of how they were visited by aliens. You ever hear all that stuff? And like it
Well,
was
I mean, I've heard those stories plenty of times, but I don't know the episode you were talking about.
Bill is complaining about our recording time once again. It's not convenient for him, so he has to complain about it.
Well, maybe one of these days we should actually record this and post it so people can listen at their leisure.
Yeah, like, maybe not force people to watch it or listen to it live, and allow them to watch it or listen whenever they want. You're right. We should do that. We should look into that. What the heck were we talking about? Oh yeah, aliens. Okay,
Trolls, aliens.
yeah, so when you're a kid and you reach a point where it's like, okay, all movies are fake. You don't have to worry about, the Terminator coming to get you or anything like that. All movies are fake. But that Unsolved Mysteries, man, it was all these people who were telling this same story, all these people who've never met before. And this is the days before the internet, right? So how did all these people have the same story? And it was always these green aliens with the big eyes, the whole thing that's a cliche now. But when I was a kid in the 80s, I had never heard of this before. And all these people had the same story of how these aliens came down while they were sleeping and took them up into their ship and did nasty things to them, and the whole lost time and all that. And that just freaked me out when I was a kid. It took me a long time to get over that. And now that I'm older, I just realize all those people are full of shit. I don't believe a single one of them.
Well, nowadays it's hard to believe somebody. I'd say just what you're saying now. Before the internet, when a lot of people had the same story, you could see, all right, maybe there's something going on here. This seems a little unlikely. But nowadays, you can't believe anything.
No.
As soon as you throw it on the internet,
and then
1,000 other people's doing the same thing.
No, and who knows? These people probably were in some sort of communication with each other. There was probably some sort of magazine or something they all subscribed to.
Well, yeah, there were other social forms of communication back then.
And the people who did Unsolved Mysteries probably just threw that show together thinking, this is a fun thing to talk about and all that.
Meanwhile, we got a quota here. Get something on screen.
I was scared out of my mind. Like all these, and you look back at the episode now, and they were really cheesy recreations and that. It was people in rubber suits, kids in rubber suits, because their aliens were small. But it freaked me out when I was a kid.
I remember when I was in more my teens and 20s, they were coming out with a lot of those specials on TV. Again, I think this was kind of like early days of the internet. So, but they would put together just nonsense, fake news things about aliens and stuff and put them on. Like, oh, we found this footage, a family witnessed something. And then you watch it and you're like, well, the tape is breaking up, but it's going to that television static. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you remember that when Fox, I believe, had the alien autopsy footage that
I've never seen it, but yeah, I know all about that.
It was so bad. It was like this alien, they apparently got actual real footage of an alien autopsy.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed this thing, and it was like this alien, like the head didn't move or anything like that. It was it was a dead alien. So I don't know, maybe it had rigor mortis or something, but you could obviously tell it was rubber, because when they moved it in that, it kind of like moved around like a rubber doll would. And they could never get like a real clear picture of the alien.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like, you're documenting the first known, interaction with an alien life form.
Yeah.
Can't keep that camera steady. It's always bopping around.
Even worse, the camera guy was behind the doctors. Like you couldn't get a clear. He's trying to get around the doctors. I'm trying to get an angle here. You wouldn't get like a nice steady shot.
Yeah.
No.
You'd think if they're going to allow a camera in that in that setting, maybe put it somewhere nice, get a good shot.
So baloney. But people bought into it. They thought it was real. They probably still do.
Yeah. You're not going to change their minds.
No.
Their mind is set.
Yep. All right. That's it. I got all that stuff out of the way.
Okay. Cool.
I had an interesting start to the day today. I got a comment on my blog first thing in the morning, and about 2.5 years ago, I wrote a review of a book. It was actually this book right here. This is a book about Bon Scott, the original
Bon. Okay.
Bon the Last Highway, written by Jesse Fink, and it's a well written book. There's a lot of stories in that. It's about the original singer for AC/DC who passed away, right before they got huge, right before they got big. And it's a well written book in terms of like he goes and he finds a lot of people who knew Bon Scott and they have a lot of wonderful stories about him and what he was like and all that stuff. But there's two big conspiracy theories in the book that I have. Speaking of conspiracy theories, I'm not a fan of them, that I have an issue with. And one of them is how Bon Scott died. The official report is that he choked on his own vomit in a car. Mm-hmm. He was out drinking one night, and one of his friends tried to get him out of his car, to bring him up to the apartment. Bon wouldn't move. So he put the chair down, put a blanket on him, and said, "Sleep it off. We'll get you tomorrow." And apparently, he was leaning back, and he threw up while he was, and he choked on it, and he mm-hmm. never recovered. And then the other thing is that now Bon died right at the last, in December of 1979. And then the next year, AC/DC put out their biggest album, Back in Black, which is like a huge big time seller in that. And a lot of people believe because of the quick turnaround, right after Bon died, 2 months later, they had this record ready to go, even though it really wasn't 2 months later. It came out in July. But for whatever reason, this book keeps saying that it was 2 months later that it was written and done. That Bon Scott actually wrote a lot of the lyrics for that album and was never given credit for it. And I don't believe either of those things because no one has ever presented any real hard evidence, right? But this book was sold to me on that, if you read this, you're going to find out a lot. You're going to learn a lot, and you might change your opinion. So I read it, and it was a lot of circumstantial evidence, a lot of hearsay. People said that somebody said this. A lot of people that that Jesse Fink interviewed were real friends with Bon Scott, right? And they basically honor his memory, and they won't even bring themselves to listen to any of the newer stuff. They don't want to hear. They only want to remember AC/DC with Bon Scott. Mm-hmm. And these people all have these theories and ideas of what really happened to Bon Scott and why he isn't credited on the album, and none of it is any real hard evidence one way or the other of what really happened. And so I'm reading this book, and this book is a lot of the quotes that are taken from interviews and that they're not really given the proper context and all that. So I wrote that in my review. I said, basically what I said a lot of the stories that he told from other people and that he got from other people was really well told, but for the journalistic integrity of this book, I feel as if the guy had some conclusions and then wrote this book in a way to show to support his conclusions, instead of asking a question, are these true? Can we find out either way? And presenting the evidence to everyone, and then you can decide for yourself. I have absolutely no problem with that. But to me, he took the Fox News approach, right? Obama bad, let's go find all the stuff that reasons why Obama bad, right? Let's not actually see if he is. Let's just pick and choose what we want. So I wrote this book I wrote this review 2 years ago. I wish I wrote a book. That'd be interesting. To me anyways, maybe not to anyone else. But I wrote this review 2.5 years ago, and this review caught Jesse Fink's eye 2.5 years later. And he left me a fairly nasty comment. And so that basically my response to him, because it was a very lengthy comment and he was quoting his book and pages and all that, and unfortunately the book that he was using to quote from doesn't sync up with my book. He had a 2018 edition with additional pages, and I have a 2017 edition, so I couldn't exactly word for word debate with him, but coming up with my response pretty much took me all morning. But that was an interesting start to the day. Where
Is that why we had to change our recording time? This
No.
interaction threw off your entire schedule?
No. The reason why we changed the recording time is because tomorrow is Saturday, and it's basically my last day of this mini vacation here. And so Sarah and I want to go do something, and we don't want to be under pressure of having to come back. That's really the only reason. But if we couldn't, and Richard was unable to, it would have been fine. We would have just came back for 5 o'clock.
It's all about you and your lady going out and having some fun.
Yeah, well, it might be the only time we do it all summer because we've been cooped up in here since March. And to be honest, I haven't convinced Sarah that it's a good idea to go out yet. So we might just be staying home.
Oh, this is your idea.
Yeah. And we might be just staying
You're
home
the one
anyways.
that wants to go out and do things in the public.
Just a little, just once this summer, just go out and do something once.
Well, what are you thinking of? What are you going to go do?
Well, I was talking to Bill. We were doing that vinyl show last night, and Bill went to Coburg, which is about an hour away from where I live. And apparently, so there's this sort of a mini franchise in Southern Ontario that sell vinyl records. They had a store in Coburg, a store in Peterborough, and a store in Kingston. The store in Peterborough, I believe, has been closed for a while. We never actually went there, but we went to the store in Kingston last year. I don't know if you remember. I think I told a story where we went to a record store and the roof was leaking. There was a bathtub, like some tenant's bathtub was leaking above, and the water was leaking down onto the records, and they were putting pieces of plastic on it. Well, they closed that store, and they brought all the inventory from that store over to Coburg. So all this stuff is in Coburg, and they're looking to, sort of get rid of this extra inventory at a reasonable price. So I have it in my head that I want to go there and check it out and see what's happening. And Sarah's like, I don't want to risk getting COVID for records.
Right, because you need your Limp Biscuits and your Creeds.
No, none of those. Absolutely none of those. And she's not wrong. She's 100% right. I can't, argue with her. And I think it would be safe. But the big thing is that if we drive an hour out there and go to the record store, at some point we're going to have to go to the bathroom or something like that. And then you're going to be in like they have these Zap Record Spending Challenge, Kevin's turn. Yeah, that's Bill. Bill spent. Hey, if Bill wants me to tell how much he spent. He revealed it over on the vinyl collection show there that we recorded last night. It was quite a sum. Of money.
Is it more than he spends on the retro gaming stuff for conventions?
Oh yeah. It's big time spender over there. Anyways, it pulls up in his SUV. The hubs caps are spinning. He's got the hip hop on and pulls out the sunglasses on. Walks in the store, looks at the window. Get me one of those. Like
I
Rodney
figure you just
Dangerfield.
open up the door to the car and just say, "All right, bring it on in."
Bring it on in. Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. That's what I want to do, but I don't think I can convince her. She doesn't really want to do it. So yeah, but so there are these. What are they called? I can't remember, but they're like these pit stop places run by the government off the sides of the highway, and apparently they're rammed full of people because they're the only things open that people can go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Well, this is the perfect time. If you got to go to the bathroom, all you got to do is run over to the side of the road. If anyone comes to hassle you, you just pull that mask back and whoa, stand back, people.
Well, that might be an argument that I can use. I'll run that by her.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into the bathroom because there's some guy sneezing in there.
Anyways, that was an interesting start to the day, having that guy.
So you did complete your response?
Oh yeah. I sent them a response, and it was basically he like it's funny because one of the first things he says in the comments after he insults me a little bit is he says, when have I so. Basically, my problem with the book, one of the problems is that he has no proof that any of this stuff happened. So he got his back all up that I said the word proof, and he's like, proof? I've never said proof. And so my response to that was, well, thanks for admitting it. You have no proof that any of this stuff ever happened. Like, but anyways, yeah, it's a fun read. Anyways, you read the review and then go read the comments. That's at Buried on Mars WordPress /buriedonmars.com. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Or Buried on Mars /wordpress.com, something like that. Somewhere in there. Just check it out.
That would be a wonderful, wonderful thing if you just had an entire platform dedicated to your feuding with personalities online.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This might be my calling. Maybe I'll just review other books, trash other books.
Well, yeah, you should create a new Twitter account where you just review books and you always tag the author.
Yeah. No, I'm not really interested in doing that. I try to be positive. I try to talk about things that I like. And I don't even know why. I think I wrote a review of it because I read the book and people were like, yeah, this stuff is like, this guy's really, he brings up all these good points and everything like that. And I'm reading this and I'm like for instance, like AC/DC, like the band members are very, they're from the school of the Beatles. If you ever watch the Beatles in interviews and that, they're always, having some fun with the media. They're not really trying to be serious. They're just trying to have a little bit of fun. And, they do that to try to be entertaining. They're entertainers. And that's what, I can see, the band members of AC/DC watching their favorite Beatles do this in interviews. And they themselves would do the same thing. They would always try to give a funny answer or something like that. Or something aloof or self-deprecating or humble or whatever. And, if you read what they're saying without any sort of cadence of how they're saying it, you could read that and say, oh, man, they are admitting right there that they had nothing to do, like Brian Johnson said, like, I can't take the credit for Back in Black. I came in, they had a lot of stuff done and I just filled in the blanks and, he's not going to be David Lee Roth where I'm like, hey, I'm the greatest ever. And we wrote the greatest thing and we got all like, that's not who he is. Right. He's going to be humble and everything. So if you read that, you could say, oh, he's admitting right there. And then it's right there. And that's fine to report in your book. That's fine to say in your book that he said this, but you got to give it context. You have to give that context to like, look, this guy is probably not serious. He doesn't really give serious interviews. So take this with a grain of salt. If he said that, I'd have no problem.
Mm-hmm. Oh, if you take all the context away from this show, we are a couple of miserable douches.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to take if you read a transcript of one of these shows, you'd think, who are these two miserable pricks who hate everyone?
I would be extremely interested in reading that if anyone were to ever type one of those up.
I was thinking about this show the other day. I was just thinking of how we started this show. It was about video games. And we got this audience who's all into video games to listen to it. And then we just stopped talking about video games. Talking about whatever else. And everyone's like, why am I listening to this? There's no video games here. So all we have left is the Power 30. The Power 30 who hang on. I see the numbers on Anchor. I see what's happening. I love my Power 30. The ones who stuck around. Good for you guys. All right. That's enough about me. Let's talk about
I'll talk about video games.
Sure.
Going back like 5-6 years, whatever it was, I had a constant struggle with the old Xbox 360 because I had the original model.
Right.
And, they were just, it died on me. I'd open it up, fix it, bought another one, fixed it. It was like, it was a miserable experience for a couple of months or year or whatever, where I was dedicated to just repairing that thing whenever it broke down. I finally gave up and wisely invested on the slim version, which didn't give me any problems until yesterday.
Oh,
so I'm proud to say that
Dean got excited
finally. So anyway, the slim one started giving me trouble. So now that one may be dead.
So is it the red ring or
there was some error message. Basically, I used it like a week or two ago, and I played through the Ghostbusters game. And then my daughter wanted to play, so she's been going through, and she's been making progress too. But then she said, it froze up on me the other day. Like, okay,
Oh.
keep an eye on it. Hey, it froze up again. Uh-oh.
Mm.
And she was telling me just yesterday, like, there's some weird message here. And I was like, I was doing something. I finally went in there. It had like one of those error contact support. I was like, oh, this isn't good. I looked it up real quick, and I think it's something with the hard drive. So today I'm going to, look at it a bit and do my research, possibly open it up. But if it looks like it's gone, then I'm not going to try to do any miracles with it.
Terrible.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of an awkward situation where I'm thinking, well, am I going to replace this? Do I need to go out and buy another one, or can I just say goodbye to the library I've got there? Because I don't have much left. I've already bought Bulletstorm on PC. I'm definitely going to have to buy Ghostbusters on Epic now. Then I got nothing else left but Batman, those Marvel games. Nier is coming to Steam, isn't it?
Something's happening
like the not good version.
Yeah. Something's
and then they're going to
happening
probably make you pay for the good version.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might be done with the old Xbox.
That is, yeah. Well, when my Red Ring, that's what happened to it. Is it started freezing up. I remember I was playing Fallout 3. It was brand new, and it froze up a couple times during Fallout 3, and then Red Ring.
Was it the newer model?
I've never heard of the slim red ringing, but I don't know.
There you go. That's just some video game talk for you. Not playing video games.
Unable to play video games. Well, yeah, I don't know. Like if you don't need to play any of those games, then you might as well. I don't know what's the point of replacing it then. Just go with the PC.
I mean, the big things I have on there are like the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection. I could just play my Genesis.
Yeah, you can get those on Steam as well.
I can't.
Oh no!
I think like a lot of them aren't available here. I mean, I think like Sonic and Streets of Rage, some of the big ones.
Dean says the actual game is Nier Replicant. So that's the one that came out.
That's as far Nier Gestalt is the one that I have.
That's the one that came out in Japan.
Yeah, that's the one. No. That's the one where you play as the father who's trying to look after his daughter. The Nier Replicant was the one that was released on the PlayStation in Japan, and you play as an older brother who's looking out for his sister. So it's the same game, but I think the voice actor is different, and you look like a anime teenager. And I don't want that. I want to play as the cool old man who's looking after his kid. And it's got those stupid numbers in the title, version 1.224. Nobody cares. What are they doing this? So I heard that they were putting that game out on Steam. So I imagine maybe you'll have to pay the extra content to get the old man. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that everything just comes out on Steam. Let's enough with these stupid exclusive games. Exclusive games are dumb. They're always dumb. You should be able to play them the way you want to play them with whatever controller you want. It's time already. Enough of this.
I saw there's some buzz going on the internet now about some Spider-Man thing that's exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah. I predicted that a long time ago when the PlayStation 3 came out. So I was about 12 years too late, but or early, I guess, or whatever. But I remember when I saw that PlayStation come out with that, when it had like the Spider-Man 3 kind of font on it, and Sony owned the rights for the movies.
Right. Yeah,
I saw that and I said
the Raimi font, right?
Right. And I said, you know what? The Spider-Man games, they are going to be Sony exclusives from now on. You just watch.
What's the deal Sony has with Spider-Man? They had the movie rights, but I guess they also acquired the video game.
I guess. I don't know. I know that they do have the movie rights. They have the rights to movie Spider-Man. And as long as they keep making Spider-Man movies or terrible spin-offs, who knows? Might find out later if a spin-off of Spider-Man is terrible or not. As long as they keep doing it, they hold on to the rights to it. So
Man, they ain't giving that up.
no, that's
and it's a huge cash cow.
So what's going on with Voxcade Part 2?
If nobody talks me out of it, I'm going to start making another one today.
What? So, did you take apart? You dismantled the old one?
The old original one,
yeah,
was taken apart, and a lot of that went into. I recycled a lot of the wood into making a bunch of different projects, and the heart of it, the retro Pi Raspberry Pi thing, went into the one that's up now. The only thing is I made that with a small TV, so it's only single player. You only fit one person on there. I kept feeling really bad. Like, if my kids want to play, they got to take turns. They can't play together. So I've been thinking in my head, I still got the other TV, and I basically have to pay to have it thrown away.
Oh.
Or I can pay to use it.
Might as well use it then.
Might as well. So I've just been thinking about it for a while. And up until yesterday, I really had it in my head as like, I'm going to make a 4-player layout for this, so we can play those like 4-player beat 'em ups and stuff,
like Simpsons and
Turtles. And then just yesterday I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that because this thing's going to be big anyway. So at the very least, I'm going to start, and until my wife tells me I'm not allowed to do it, I'm just going to keep making it.
I think if you have the space for it, and your kids are like getting to that right age where they would really appreciate it,
Well, we don't really have the space for it, but I could put it somewhere. Basically, the one that I have now, it's in the school. It's in for where I do my private lessons, and we recently started letting people come back into the school, and got all the acrylic barriers and everything is sealed off and disinfected and all that stuff. And there's all these rules about when people come in with wearing masks and washing their hands and stuff. But people have finally seen the one that I made, and they're like, "Oh, what's that over there?" And so it's making me feel like, ooh, gotta show this off.
You could be the toast of the town, the talk.
Yeah. Well, the younger students I have, all the kids, they're really curious about it, but I'm not letting anybody touch it just yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait a bit. So I don't know. It's just I enjoyed making it, and I really want to do it, so I might do it again.
I do like Bill's comment here. All of Kevin's comments should start with, "You clearly have no idea what you're reviewing and have zero knowledge of." That was Jesse Fink's start to his comment to me. And he said, "You clearly have no idea what you're reviewing. It's a book." I think I've grasped the concept of what a book is. It's a book.
I'm pretty sure if somebody has the patience to sit down and read one of those things, they might have a good idea of what they're reviewing.
What it is, what this thing is. I think I could do it, but whatever.
How dare you not immediately praise my work?
And I mean, it goes to me. It says a lot when you don't actually defend what my criticism was. You just go right to insulting and then saying, "Yeah, I don't have proof, but I did all this stuff." It's very, very Trumpish.
I don't know, especially since he sought out your review. It's not like you started hounding him on the internet and said, "Hey, read my review. I just read your book."
It's 2.5 years old. I look back at it and I'm like, "Oh, gee, no one read that thing." Oh,
well, you said there's an updated version
of the book, but that came out in 2018.
Oh, okay, so it's not even anything recent. It's just maybe he's just bored, can't go out. So
searched up his own book.
Let me see what people think of me today.
If you do type it in Google, for me, it comes up as the 4th thing in Google. So it is up there, but I don't know if that's for everybody, Anyways. All right. Let's talk about some movies and TV.
Finally, the heart
All
of the
right.
episode.
Which do you want to start with? Do you want to start with this episode of Enterprise?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I want this pressure off because I don't know if you're going to crucify me for recommending an episode.
Let me take the pressure off you right away and say, no, I'm not going to crucify you. So to remind people who may have missed last week's episode, maybe you're not part of the Power 30. Richard has gone back and watched Enterprise. He's watched all of season 1. He's trying to get a feel for what the show was, what he missed. And he said out of all the episodes in season 1, I think there was 24, 22 or 24.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
He said there's one good one that you should check out.
There's one that I feel confident in recommending. At least now I'm not so confident.
So I watched it. It was episode 12 of season 1, and this is an episode where its focuses on the Doctor, who Richard says is the better character in
Dr. Phlox.
And Dr. Phlox is an alien. He's I'm not sure what kind of alien he is.
He's a Denobulan.
So he doesn't really seem. He kind of seems to have like a Vulcan sort of thing going, where he doesn't really understand human emotions or emotional attachments.
It's a bit opposite. Well, I think that's the only episode that really digs into that aspect of it. And usually he's very chipper and friendly, and he's always eager to, talk to people and learn new things. He's in Starfleet right now as part of some interspecies medical exchange. His race lives kind of a long time. He's a bit older, and he's very curious. But in that episode, they show a slightly different aspect of him where he doesn't quite understand how humans attach to things. Like they can't separate. They can when they get involved with something, they develop an emotional attachment.
Right, that's the emotional part of it that he doesn't really understand. There's a woman that's hitting on him. He's getting some vibes from this woman who's a human, and he's asking his friends, which is very old, like that's a real Star Trek thing. Start asking your friends, hey, what do you think? Do you think I should pursue this relationship or what? Then it turns out he's got a harem back home. He's got like 4 wives or something.
Yeah, well, that's his culture, and that's how they do things. They have this polygamist attitude, but they don't do it in a sloppy way of like, oh, hey, you think I should pursue this? It's more he's thinking about her mentality and her state, because the way his culture does things is way different. So he's not in like a nervous, oh, should I pursue this? He's really looking out for her interest and saying like, do you understand what you're getting into and how my culture is? I don't want you feeling offended or put off, because there is a difference here.
Meanwhile, while all this is happening, the Enterprise discovers a planet, or it was a ship that intercepted them, right? And the ship had some crew members that were injured on it or whatever. And the ship was from a planet that's looking for warp-capable ships to come back to their planet and help them out, because the species, the humanoid species on the planet, is dying, and they need help. They need medical help. They actually would like a warp ship to take with them, or to take the technology or learn how to build a warp ship, or hope maybe these aliens will give them a warship. So if these guys can't help them out, if the people of the Enterprise can't help them out, then maybe some other species in space.
Right. It would allow them to go seek out their own help a lot faster and easier. Right.
So okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying, because the entire, their planet is all suffering from this terrible plague. So the clock is ticking. And
in this era of Star Trek, this takes place before Kirk and Spock and all that. There was no prime directive yet. And the prime directive in Star Trek is something that every Starfleet officer follows, where they do not interfere with any sort of species or culture that is still developing to warp capabilities. Once they reach warp capabilities, then the Federation will go in and make contact with them, because then it's like, okay, you're ready to go out into space yet, because space is extremely dangerous,
Wild West.
Right. And if they start going in there and giving every species, hey, warp technology, go out there and explore, they're going to run into Klingons, they're going to run into Romulans, they're going to run into all sorts of dangerous stuff. So they wait until you're ready before they go and contact you. But they haven't reached that yet in this part of Star Trek. So now they're in this conundrum. They don't really know what to do. Let's go see how bad the plague is. Maybe this is something that we can solve really quickly. And so what they do, they go there. Doctor has his orders to check out the planet. And what they find, what they discover, what the Doctor discovers is there's actually 2 humanoid species on the planet, which goes against every form of nature, because every time they've discovered a new planet, always one species becomes the dominant one and takes over, usually in like very prehistoric times. It's like we had the Neanderthals here on Earth, and our species dominated, and then Neanderthals died out. But in this planet, it's delayed. They're pretty much the technology is ahead of ours, because they do have space travel. They just don't have warp capabilities yet. So for some reason, nature hasn't taken its course yet, and one species hasn't become dominant. So they find out that this species that reached out to them actually has another. There's the other species on the planet. They actually dominate.
It's kind of like the one species is the dominant, the other one is like a subservient race. They're a little more tribal, almost cavemanish, and they basically just have them help out.
Right. But and what the Doctor discovers is that the subservient species that the dominant one looks down on is actually on the way up. They're on the way up there. So they're about to meet crossroads, right? They're on the way up, and the other ones are on the way down. It's actually nature taking its course, telling them to go out. So what do? Do they, he finds a cure. Spoiler alert for this episode. He finds a cure. Does he give it to him? It's like, here's your cure. You'll be fine now. And they continue to dominate this species that's coming on the way up. Do they let nature take their course? The captain can actually give them warp capabilities if they want to. All this stuff. So there's all these questions and everything, which is like, yeah, that's some classic Star Trek right there. That's an idea and everything. I agree with all that. Although I could see why this was probably an episode that was a script that was lying around for a long time, and I think they kicked it, like put it off on the back burner and that, because
it could be,
because there are some issues with it that doesn't make 100% sense, that they kind of get around with the prime directive thing here, because there isn't really one yet. But a lot of the decisions that's left to the captain, and that, like, should we give them more capability? Should we, give them this cure and all that? The real problem with the script, and I could see like nobody really figured this out, is there's no sense of urgency. There's no reason why they have to make a decision now on what they need to do. They can contact Starfleet Command. They could contact smarter people than them, and they can ask them, what should we do? What's the advice? What do you guys want? You're Starfleet Command. What do you guys want to do with it? Every time like something like this would happen in the past, there would be a sense of urgency, like the Ferengi are coming to take over the planet, or something to that effect, where they need to make a decision. They can't wait for orders from Starfleet. So I think that's been a problem with the script, and I think that's why they waited until Enterprise was ready to scrape the bottom of the barrel, basically.
Hey, good one. Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, I imagine that a lot of potential episodes, a lot of scripts and ideas that maybe it was around in Next Gen. They're like, we're not right. Oh, maybe that'll show up in Deep Space Nine. Maybe it'll even show up in Voyager. So they have all this backlog of scripts, that the ideas that have just been pushed on to other seasons, other series. There was some sloppy bit. The part about the prime directive, I think Archer is even in there, is like, there is no directive about this right now. It's really very wink wink. Yeah, it was really, they do a lot of that in that show. But the heart of it, that was the best episode that I've come across. I'm in season 2 now, and that's still the best episode.
Yeah. But I did appreciate a lot of the Star Trek-ness in it,
That's it. There's Star Trek in there. It's not 100% polished, but
And I
Okay.
liked how, he asks his captain, what should we do? What should I
Mhm.
do? He actually, I kind of liked how the doctor felt out the captain a little bit. Like, what's your, before he reveals that he actually has a cure, right?
Mhm.
Tries to find out which direction he was going to go in. And then he says, like, I can't lie to my captain. I actually do have a cure.
Well, I think a lot of that is probably the actor because just one, he's been a consistent note throughout the series where he has a lot of good scenes. And there are other episodes where there'll be some sort of moral dilemma, but he takes his role as Doctor very seriously. There was another episode where there was this alien parasite thing that was attacking the crew, and the captain, some other crew members were being held by it. And so the tactical officer wanted to do some tests on a sample of it. But the doctor realized, like, this is a higher level being. I'm not going to let you just attack it. And he was like, no, the captain there is in danger. He's like, you can't just attack this organism to get information out of it. If you want information, we're going to do it my way, which is slower, but it's safer and more humane. And he's like, fighter's like, no, this is my medical bay. I outrank you in this situation. He's like, well, you don't outrank the captain. He's like, well, the captain can't tell you anything right now, can he?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
it's
yeah,
good. Keep.
I think he adds a lot to that character because the downside of that show is the performances by just about everybody else is usually pretty
Oh yeah, we
sloppy.
noticed to Paul there was, like you said, she's like stiff as a board.
That's probably one of the better representations of her in that
Really?
episode because she didn't have that much to do. A lot of
Right.
times, especially her first season, she's really annoying. She just like
She just did not seem like she wanted to be there at all.
No. I think she just doesn't know how to play the character because they said, "All right, you're a Vulcan, no emotions." Like, all right,
Yeah.
I'll just be mean
Yeah.
and prissy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, keep vetting those episodes, so I don't have to watch the whole
If I find
season.
another one, I'll let you know.
Let me know. All right.
All right. Do you want to start with a good one?
Yeah.
Okay. I did finally watch Rambo: Last Blood.
Oh, right.
And I enjoyed it. It was. I mean, I think what you and Sauce said is, you got to get through that first 20 minutes. Pretty true. That it takes a while to get going. It looks promising. You're like, oh, look, there's old man Rambo. You're like, no, teenager drama. Yeah. There was kind of a dead end there. The whole thing of looking for the father, like that's it. Basically, it's just everything is just an excuse to get that girl down into Mexico and in trouble.
Yeah,
and then even then, following along with her thing, I wish that whole section had been condensed into 5 minutes, and then we just got a little bit more Rambo goodness.
Yeah. It's not a perfect movie for sure.
No, the second half, particularly the last third chunk of that movie, is just like a, laugh your head off roller coaster.
Yep.
That was so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to spoil the ending for anyone who hasn't seen it, but yeah.
Well, it involves Rambo doing Rambo things.
Yeah, but I think even for Rambo, like 2008 Rambo, he still finds a way to ramp it up.
A bit, yeah. I mean, if you go back to First Blood Part 2, after your favorite character leaves the film,
Cave Lady. Yes.
when Cave Lady leaves the film, there's that montage of Rambo like hiding in the mud, jumping from trees, coming out of the water. It's like every second he's somewhere else doing something. It kind of brings back vibes of that.
Yeah.
Where it's just like fast. It also reminded me a lot of John Wick, particularly John Wick Part 2 when he's in the tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
I think that series probably led to this final act of Rambo coming out. It definitely, there are similarities.
Yeah, definitely took some cues from it. Mm-hmm. And also, like, Rambo did a lot of hiding in that in First Blood as well. He was like hiding in there.
Yeah.
There's still that one scene where I try to spot him before he pops out.
Right.
And I forget, I'm like, oh man, I forgot to look for him again.
It's a nice wide shot.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm glad. I'm really happy you liked it, because a lot of people, it seems to have gotten mixed reviews in that. But I think, like, once, like you said, once you get past that first few
Yeah,
20
yeah.
minutes or so.
Well, if you step back and judge it as a film, it's got its flaws. It's got plenty of weaknesses. It loses points for rape. I can't believe they were still pulling that
Yes.
off
Yes.
in this day and
Totally
age.
agree. That Sarah and I both cringed at that as well.
Because it's, I mean, I appreciate the brutal, unapologetic violence towards the end because that's
Yes.
what you came for.
Right.
But in terms of getting there, is like what they did with that one character, the girl.
Yeah.
It's like there's no redemption, or it's just like, ooh, that's a didn't sit well.
It was an extreme way to motivate Rambo, and they didn't need to go that.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of Assault on Precinct 13 as like the catalyst to get things going. It's like, it's a little far, but
Hey, we got my buddy Deke in the comments. First Blood is still the best. Each one after First Blood gets a little less, more, and more thrilling.
It gets a little less, more.
I think he means gets a little more or less more thrilling. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Less and less thrilling?
I don't know. For me, it's First Blood up here. Then we got to dip down to part 2 and part 3, and then Rambo 3 or Rambo 4, 2008 Rambo. Back up.
I saw your tier ranking there. You got First Blood, Rambo 2008, Last Blood, and then the other two.
Yeah.
And that's basically my order, except I would switch your 2 and 3.
I just can't take Cave Lady at all. Hey, Rambo.
Rambo. It's not great, but at least I can laugh through it instead of just cringing, like when he plays sheep ball.
And 3 does have a lot more of Richard Crenna in it. I think the most Richard Crenna.
Well, it became a buddy action movie.
Yeah. So I appreciate. Give me
He's
more
in
Richard
the game.
Crenna.
There's an arcade game, Rambo 3, and you get to play as the two of them. It's one of those like run towards the opposite. Like you're always looking at their backs and they're like just shooting things, kind of like Cabal or Kadash. I was going to use.
D clears up his comments. He says, First Blood is the best. How's that? That works for me. Absolutely. The book is good too. I recommend the book as well. If you just want an easy read.
The author really hated this last installment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When that movie came out, he was like, oh, it's so awful. It's a disrespect.
I don't know how you can like 2 and 3 and be really disappointed with. I mean, if you're not into, like, I guess 2 and 3 are very campy, you know. And if you want more campy Rambo, you're definitely not going to get that here. If you're not into the gore, then you're. So I guess I could kind of see it if you'd like the older movies.
Well, you kind of have 3 different versions of Rambo. You got First Blood, where it's like a drama piece. You know, you got your action in there, but it's a strong character movie.
But there's tons of social commentary in it and everything.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Yeah. 2 and 3 are 80s action cheese. Yeah. And then you got the 2 more recent ones that are definitely more visceral and 1 foot closer to reality, you know.
Yeah. A little bit.
It's extreme, but yeah. Okay. Venom was great.
No,
it wasn't.
No,
it was terrible. At least I watched the whole thing though.
You were able to watch the whole thing.
I did, and you say it's terrible. I wouldn't say it was terrible. It's not good. It's got a whole host of problems.
No.
Get it?
I gotta get my soundboard ready.
The movie didn't quite latch on to me.
No. This is
terrible. This
is worse than the movie.
No, it's not a very good movie, but it's I'd say it's more bland than terrible.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just so Haven't you seen so many of these movies where it's
Yeah.
just you have that blank, bland, empty, no charisma villain in like a stark, sterile, high-rise building because he's all about the money, doesn't care about people. This makes you, love Hans Gruber and Clarence Boddicker and all like the great villains when you have an actor who can really deliver and give you something memorable. This is just like empty, 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 empty. When you get to some of the Venom scenes, there's a couple of fun moments, but it's just buried in blandness. That's it. I think the best part of the movie, which you didn't get to, is later on when he's just talking to himself. If they had focused a lot more on that and just him with this like complex, because towards the end of the film, he's like walking around the streets and he's talking to the symbiote inside him, but people are just like turning and looking at him, and he's not even paying attention to them. He's just having this conflict of dual personalities inside him. And those parts were okay. I wish they had focused more on that.
Yeah.
And Ryan said Venom looked weird. He looks like Venom. He looks like a cartoon Venom, but he looks like Venom.
I can't remember. I don't remember, but I do remember it being very bland. What's her face is in it too. I can't remember her name.
His love interest, right?
Yeah. She was absolutely.
There was no need for that character. That whole beginning of like they're together and then something happens where they break up. Cut all that out of the movie. Just start with him like, oh, I left the Daily Bugle. I moved to San Francisco, and now stuff happens. Just you can cut so much of that movie out. It's just empty, pointless.
What's Eddie Brock doing in San Francisco? He's supposed to be in New York.
I guess they needed to separate it so that you can't draw any connection to Spider-Man.
I see.
Oh, and you missed the worst part at the end of the movie. Into the post-credits tease, you get Woody Harrelson in a terrible wig.
Oh no!
and I knew it was coming. They're going to tease Carnage and Cletus Cassidy, I believe his name is. And basically, he's going to interview him, and it's Woody Harrelson. Really weird choice. Just with this crazy wig that looks like a wig on bald Woody Harrelson. And he looks up and he literally says, like, there's going to be carnage.
Oh, boy. I have to look this up. Woody Harrelson, Carnage wig.
Carnage, there you go.
So first it's Woody Harrelson Carnage, and the second one is Woody Harrelson Carnage wig. So let's click on it. He looks like Carrot Top. Oh my god. Oh wow, that looks terrible. Terrible. Okay, if you haven't seen it, look it up.
Did this movie do well? Or are they going to make another one?
Let's see if I can share this. Let's see. Share screening easiest with 2 monitors. Okay, let's see. Okay. Firefox cannot permit access to your screen. Let's see. No, won't allow. Oh, here we go. All right, allow. There we go.
Did they go through it?
Can you see that?
Oh, okay, yes.
Man.
That's even worse than I remember.
Oh, that is something.
Mm-hmm. That's what they said. Hey, you know what would be great for this multi-million-dollar movie we're doing? How we're gonna lure in the fans. There is going to be a sequel, and they are calling it Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Good luck with that.
That's according to Tokujo. Oh wow!
Hey, he is our source. Got his finger on the pulse.
Oh man, you could see what other tabs I have up there. Oh wow.
Oh,
nothing interesting this time. All right, there we go.
So look out for that.
That's a good laugh, man. That's the best laugh I had all day. right there.
You know what also is a good laugh? Seed of Chucky.
Is it good?
I enjoyed it.
Really?
I
I'm writing
enjoyed
that
it.
down. I want the. I
And
want.
I'll tell you why. The film has so much character. Now, we talked before, like, we've both seen the original Child's Play, probably a long time
Yes.
ago.
Not that long ago for me. Maybe within the last 5 years for me.
Okay. It's been a while since I've seen it. I remember kind of enjoying it. I don't remember too many details, but not bad. I saw this pop up on Netflix, and I was like, I haven't seen any of the sequels. You know, I saw that reboot that was garbage. Whatever. I'm in one of those moods, and the movie is like an hour and 25 minutes with
Perfect.
credits. So I was,
All right.
perfect. Let me see what's going on in this Chucky world. I'll, get a cheap laugh or something. It's a stupid concept, of course, but I love movies that take a stupid concept and treat it with care. This is why I like RoboCop, because it's such a silly idea, but the filmmaking didn't get lazy. You know, the people who were making it, they had a good sense of, we're going to tell a story and we're going to make it good. Seed of Chucky, which at first I was a little confused because obviously I haven't seen the others, so I didn't know where, how this was coming about and anything. But you can tell from the title, it's Chucky. Eventually, he gets a wife, and now they have a kid. So I was kind of like, lost on all the details there of what's going on. But the film, in terms of structure and motives, everything is solid. Like, there are a handful of characters in this movie. Everyone has a very clear motive. I know exactly what everyone wants to do. They all have different things going on, and they're very shallow, but they're complete. They have their own story arcs. No scenes feel wasted. It's a really tight script. It's very silly, but everything works in terms of storytelling. It's a stupid concept, but it was done carefully. And I'd say it's probably one of the better slasher movies that I've seen, just in terms of enjoyability. Like, the rules don't change, and it's not like Freddy is now like he has powers, he doesn't have powers, you can defeat him here or there, whatever's going on. I found it to be quite entertaining, and it delivers the horror gore that the fans like. And this is one of those later sequels where it's definitely more about comedy than it is about scariness.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just slasher comedy. This is horror comedy. This is what Curtis was recommending, I imagine. So I'm curious to see the other Chucky movies now. I think there were a couple that came after this. I don't know if they continue in the same tone, but I thought this was a lot of fun.
Let's see. Chucky movies.
I can tell you right now, there's Child's Play 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Bride of Chucky.
Correct.
Seed of Chucky.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple others.
Curse of Chucky and then Cult of Chucky.
Yes, and from the posters I saw, they looked like maybe they're going a little more serious. I don't know if it's continuing in the same goofy vein.
Yeah. You look at Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, and they look goofy. Like Seed of Chucky, the baby has the rattle holding out from the baby carriage, and mom and dad are looking over it. So yeah, I can see. Oh.
I was surprised at how many different angles they took in this Seed of Chucky of what the characters are going through and what's going on inside their heads. I don't know. I don't expect brilliance, but it's kind of like Rambo Last Blood. You just have some fun. It's not a great movie, but it's fun.
2004, and it holds an approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes of 33%.
It's pretty low. Does not need to be that low. Jennifer Tilly is great. She had, she basically trashes herself.
Yeah.
In this whole movie.
Yeah. I do know that I think she's been in a few of them, right? And she's always kind of poking fun at herself, I think.
Yeah. Well, I know she did the voice for Chucky's wife.
Okay.
I don't know if she was herself in the previous movies, but she does play herself in this film. and she does the voice of the other one, and she makes fun of her own voice. And
I'm pretty
and
sure
everything.
she's in Bride of Chucky because that because she becomes the wife, like her essence is put inside the doll, right?
Yeah. I mean, so she does play herself as a physical person.
I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
See, that came out in '98. So yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing here. What do I know? What do I know about Chucky? I just know the first movie. Okay, cool.
I know that from what I've seen and what I remember, in terms of quality of films, Chucky, Child's Play is better than Jason or Freddy.
Well, I did enjoy that first Child's Play a lot. So, and I didn't really care for Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, yeah. Okay, what did I watch? Well, I rewatched The Thing because Wilford Brimley passed away. So
Oh, okay, that's right. I was curious for a second. I wasn't sure if you were gonna play tricks and say you watched the reboot.
No.
I hear that's terrible.
I hear it's terrible too. No, I picked up the special edition on Blu-ray a while ago and just needed an excuse to watch it again. So I watched it. And then Sarah reminded me that she actually stopped watching it. The last time I watched it, she didn't finish it because she didn't.
Does that mean she had never seen it before?
Well, she wasn't enjoying it the first time I watched it with her, and she turned away. And then so this time I put it on. She reminded me of that. I'm like, okay, well, if you're not enjoying it, then I'm going to watch this whole thing. And we watched like 10 minutes in. She's like, I don't know what was wrong with me. This is fantastic. This is awesome. I'm like, yeah, well, there you go. Sometimes it's just the mood you're in. Sometimes just the mood you're in, you know. But I forgot how well this movie ties into the 1950s movie, The Thing from Another World, which they're both loosely based on the same book. I really appreciate how John Carpenter tied in that original movie with his version of The Thing, because in the original version of The Thing, this team out in the Arctic discover this UFO that's buried under the ice, and turns out it's been there for 10,000 years. And they accidentally, when they're trying to remove it, they accidentally destroy the UFO. They screw up. But they find an alien that has been thrown from the ship further away from the UFO, and they carefully take that thing out. They bring it back to the base, and some dummy accidentally, they cover the thing with an electric blanket. And some dummy accidentally plugs the electric blanket in, and the thing thaws out and attacks them. And then the movie happens, and I mean, spoiler alert, from they get the alien in the end, and the guy and the girl get together, and happy ending. But in John Carpenter's version of The Thing, he changes that team from Americans to Norwegians, and the Norwegians do absolutely everything that happens in the movie except the thing escapes, and it escapes in the form of a dog, and comes, and they're like looking at footage of the Norwegian team and all that, and it's like sort of clips from the original movie. I can't tell if they redid them or if it's actual clips from the movie, because it's all kind of blurry and stuff like that. But have you ever seen The Thing?
I've not seen that original.
Yeah, they're both good, but you've seen the John Carpenter's version.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And yeah, that movie just holds up, and it takes a whole other level when you realize that the alien can assume anyone's likeness, and it hides as anyone's likeness, and that's really where the movie just kind of takes that whole other takes it to a whole other level. It's fantastic. Good time.
Yeah, there's one scene in there. You mentioned the first blood scene where you're waiting to see like where Rambo is hiding.
Yeah.
There's that scene where they're doing the blood test.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've seen it a few times. I know, like, I should know when it's going to happen, but you're still waiting. It's like, yeah, it's like I sometimes I've forgotten, like, oh, who was it? Whose blood was it? But even when you know, it's like you're waiting for him to put that needle in. And it's like they cut back and he's still holding it. It's like, is it now? Is it now? And then boom, it happens, and it gets you.
That is an example of an effective use of a jump scare. That is a jump scare that is earned. because it goes through all of that setup to get there, and you don't know when it's going to happen. You have a feeling it's going to happen. I hate cheap jump scares, like when someone opens a closet and the back of the closet falls off and everyone goes, oh my goodness, because why would there be this weird thing in a closet?
Or when like creepy kid comes through the wall.
Oh, that's stupid stuff. Or a cat. It's always a cat, right? That's running around.
Tons of cats in horror movies.
Everyone has a cat in a horror movie, or a dog that's upset at the monster. That can tell where the monster is before the humans can.
Yep.
Terminator does the same thing. But anyways, yeah, holds up. Great movie. I think it's John Carpenter's masterpiece. It's so good, and yeah, that's good.
He did good.
So we did finish watching the Andromeda Strain, which I talked a little bit about last week, and it's a great movie. It finishes off really strong. Good times. So that put us in the mood to watch some more 1970s science fiction. So I finally watched the Westworld, the original with God damn, what the heck's his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Yul Brynner. Yul Brynner is the Western gunslinger on it, in it, and James Brolin and some other dude. I couldn't remember who it is. Anyways, it wasn't bad. It's only an hour and 28 minutes, which is pretty impressive. But the first hour of the movie is so the movie is about this company that builds these robots that act as actors in a play world. Mm-hmm. And these people spend $1,000 a day to go and live a Western, or live as in medieval times, or live in Roman times. And, you can actually get into real gunfights with these robots, and it's okay to shoot them because they're just robots, right? And then at the end of the day, the workers come and pick up the robots, bring them into the back room, and they fix them all up and put them together. But eventually things get crazy because the robots start developing their own consciousness and start fighting back. They don't like being shot and thrown into things. But it takes for a movie that's an hour and 28 minutes long, it takes an hour to get there. They really drag out like these guys living the Western life, and that it just keeps going. It actually went on a little too long. And this movie was directed by Michael Crichton himself. So Michael Crichton wrote the Andromeda Strain. Robert Wise directed it, and this movie, Michael Crichton wrote and directed it.
Oh, I never knew that he directed anything.
Yeah, and it's not bad. Like I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's just like it takes a while to get to the robots going crazy, and then once it does, it finally starts to pick up. And there's some really fun imagery in it as well that I'm not going to spoil, but it's some good stuff. So I do recommend it. Just be ready for that long wait to get to the good stuff. Okay. Toku Joe says John Carpenter doing the reboot quill before it was cool. The reboot quill.
Part reboot, part sequel.
Yeah, it was a very clever way to tie it in, because you didn't, unless you knew the original movie, you would have no idea that it's a sequel of sorts. And he had to take liberties in changing things from that original movie. So
it's there for the people that want it. And if you don't know what's going on, it doesn't matter.
So then the other movie I watched was a movie called The Fury. This was directed by Brian De Palma, who also directed The Untouchables. And he directed, before that, in the 70s, he directed Carrie, Stephen King's Carrie. Have you ever seen Carrie?
I haven't.
So Carrie, there's like some notorious scenes with blood in it. Brian De Palma was like notorious, like he was well known as the guy who would bring, like he was early gore, if you will. A lot of his movies had tons and tons of blood. And this movie has a lot of blood in it as well, but it doesn't make as much sense as it did in Carrie. So this movie stars Kirk Douglas. And he's like this guy, his son, he's like a secret agent. He's like a secret spy agent. And his son has like these psychic abilities. And John Cassavetes does a double cross on Kirk Douglas and tries to kill him and steal his psychic son so he can use them for government things. And so Kurt Russell spends like, or I keep saying Kirk Douglas spends the movie like trying to find his son. He hooks up with this other psychic girl that's going to help him find his son, and the psychics can like touch people and make them spew blood and stuff like that. And it was kind of a mess of scripts. You could tell that they had this idea floating around for psychic things, but they got the blood guy to direct it. So it's like they kind of threw in like, well, what if the psychics touch you and blood just starts pouring out of you? Okay, let's do that. It's just kind of a mess of ideas. And you're following Kirk Douglas for like the first half hour, and then he's gone as they start focusing on the psychics and the girl in the school and all that. He's gone for like, I don't know, 40 minutes or whatever until they finally get back to him. And it's just, you could tell there was like, two different scripts happening at the same time. So I don't recommend The Fury. It's one that you can skip.
Gotcha.
That's
Well,
pretty
if we're going to talk about garbage movies,
you got more.
Well, the honor of the worst film that I've seen this week goes to the second Michael Bay Ninja Turtle movie. I finally broke down and watched that.
What? He made two?
Yeah, there were two of them. Believe me, you're not missing anything. Give me every category of script, direction, plot, whatever. It's all garbage. It was like terrible. One thing I will say though, in this movie, there is Bebop and Rocksteady and Krang, and they're great. Like Bebop and Rocksteady, I really enjoyed how they were represented, and Krang looked cool, but the rest of the movie is garbage.
Wow.
The turtles are giant monsters, and they are covered with garbage. They got all this junk on them. I don't know.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows.
That's it. Yes.
2016. I've never heard of this movie.
No. Go to YouTube and type in like Bebop and Rocksteady scenes, and you might be like, oh, hey, that's kind of a cool Bebop and Rocksteady. Don't watch anything else.
TMNT2, Bebop, and Rocksteady. Oh, yeah.
They're played well. Like they are goofy, over the top, but unfortunately, like the rest of the movie is too. So there's no balance. And at the end of the movie, Shredder gets frozen and is just like removed from the film.
Let's see if I can add it in here.
It's just it's so stupid.
Move. How do I add it in here? Oh, I went full screen.
Are you playing the entire? Oh, you're playing a clip here.
Oh wait, no, that didn't work. There we go. That's what I want. Let's see. I want to see what these guys look like. Is that them? Oh yeah, they look cool. I don't think you can hear it, eh?
No, that's all right.
Yeah,
we'll talk over it. Cool. Like they look good. Their personalities are perfect. They're really big and strong the way they're supposed to be, but the turtles are just huge monster creatures too.
Yeah.
And I hate the way that the turtles look. They seriously just threw crap all over them.
It's too much CG happening too. Like you
well, that's the Michael Bay thing.
Oh my god!
So it's just the twisty, swirly camera and all of this, and it's just too much.
Wow.
Believe me, it's not something you want to watch.
It doesn't look like it. No.
Yeah,
it's too much CG, man. You gotta calm down.
Well, that's all it is. I mean, there are actors in the movie, like real people.
Yeah.
But there are huge chunks where it's just that constant CG.
Why don't they just make a CG movie then? Why even bother trying?
They did, and that didn't work either.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Turtles should exist in comics and cartoons. Figures and stuff are cool. I still got a soft spot for the original movie, but it's really not the kind of idea that should be fleshed out too much.
Yeah.
It's a very simple premise.
Yep. Yeah. All right. I think it's time to wrap it up. Follow Retro Fandango on Twitter at retro_Fandango. Get a boner with Fandango. We'll get
Boner,
that
boner,
soundboard.
boner. Hey, where's your soundboard? You're off all week.
I know. I was going to do it. I was going to do it today, and then Jesse Fink commented that took up all morning. So I do have all of the files on a USB key. So I made it that far.
All right.
So we got it on there. I just got to get it on the computer.
You have the files.
I have the files.
As you have had for several years now.
But before they were on the backup hard drive. Now I moved them onto a USB key so I can bring them over to the machine that will be the soundboard. Discord is awesome. Go check us out on Discord as well. Don't forget about Discord. Join all the crazy discussions.
Tell those Discord people to figure out what movies we're watching.
There were some suggestions, like I said, but it was mostly the, Ferris Bueller, Breakfast Club, and all that. So we could do that. That's cool. That's cool.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them.
Ferris
so many
Bueller
times.
is a great movie, but I watched it like fairly recently.
Okay, then let's do something else, man.
I'm looking for more.
Maybe
I wasn't expecting the coming of age. I was expecting more like, hey, silly antics.
Well, I think Stand By Me is a great pick for the coming of age. You can also do Goonies, but we already did Goonies.
Stand By Me, Ferris Bueller. There's a lot of great coming of age movies.
Right, but you just said you didn't want to do Ferris Bueller.
And you brought up the other topic of coming of age stuff.
All right. Where the heck are we? Is that it? That's it. We said everything.
Show's over.
Show's over.
Go
All
home.
Right. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for hopping in at the last second, Steve and I. All right. Hitting end broadcast.